Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Russia-Ukraine war is starting to spread to border countries. Tension between the countries is at the line level. Everything is being done to prevent Russian military equipment from being placed within the borders of Ukraine. More than 1,500 Russian soldiers were neutralized in just 2 days. Operations are showing their effect, but the tensions between the countries are increasing. After Russia's critical move, another country may be involved in the war. In the morning, a Russian rocket fell in the L0ST region of Okhnita in the north of Moldova. Then came a statement from Moldova on the subject. According to the statements of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Moldova, the rocket was shot down by a Ukrainian air defense system, and as a result, it fell on the northern tip of the region located on the border with Ukraine. This is not Russia's first mistake against Moldova. Earlier, on October 10th, 3 Russian missiles violated Moldova's airspace. All these critical moves put important diplomatic relations between the countries at risk. Russia is increasing the number of countries that can oppose it every day. Previously, he had mobilized countries with many critical moves. In fact, the United States and some NATO countries reported that they were deploying troops and equipment to regions close to the Russian border. This showed that Russia will be ready for a move that poses a possible risk and that Moscow's moves are being closely examined. It was also announced that Russia exploded 2 of its helicopters at an airport close to the Latvian border. It was reported that 2 Ka-52 helicopters at the military airport near Russia's border with Latvia exploded and caused damage in the region. It was stated that the explosion was very powerful and parts of the helicopters were scattered around 200 meters. However, the cause of this explosion is not yet known. According to estimates, the helicopters were unfit for operation and were under repair. It is also known that Russia has not found much of a solution regarding damaged military equipment. Russia, which has serious problems in the defense industry and various weapons repair issues due to Western sanctions, is now having difficulties in producing a solution in this regard. And as military equipment in need of repair piles up, tensions rise even more. Perhaps out of sheer desperation, these helicopters may have been blown up. This shows that Russia is now trying its last chances, and it has become imperative not to lose any more military equipment. But Russia is losing its military equipment at a rapid pace every day. This time, in the southern Kherson region, Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile units shot down and neutralized 2 Ka-52 attack helicopters in just 3 minutes. Explosions echoed in the area. Anti-aircraft artillery of the Ukrainian Air Force proved its success with these effective moves in a short time. On the contrary, Russia has shown that it has a very insufficient defense and attack power, with the loss of such serious military equipment even in a short time. Increasing helicopter losses in recent days may cause major defeats for Russia. Fact that the Russian soldiers, who could not achieve success on the ground anyway, and serious deficiencies in the air, may cause them to withdraw from the war completely. This, in turn, may enable Russia to return from this war it started with regretful mistakes. Because, despite being a much larger country since the beginning of the war, he could not achieve the success he wanted. On the contrary, he has to get away from this goal a little more every day. However, despite all this, Moscow is wasting its last power in vain. As a result of the increased mutual attacks on the fronts in recent days, Ukrainian troops successfully continue their critical operations at full speed. More than 1,500 Russian soldiers were neutralized in about 2 days. In the past days, it was reported that 950 Russian soldiers were neutralized in just 1 day. This time, according to breaking news, more than 600 Russian soldiers were neutralized in 1 day. Russia's losses are growing like an avalanche day by day. Fact that these losses are both in the field of soldiers and equipment is starting to exhaust the remedies in Moscow. Moreover, apart from Russia's destroyed military equipment, Ukraine's seizures are increasing day by day. Russian soldiers leave behind many of their military equipment and ammunition every time they retreat from the fronts. Leftover equipment is either confiscated or destroyed by Ukrainian units. While this increases Ukraine's resources, it causes Russia to be seriously reduced without using it. This time, the Air Defense Forces and its vehicles on the southern front of Ukraine announced that 10 missiles were seized in the Mykolaiv region and 2 missiles in the Odessa region. It is also known that these missiles are often quite expensive. Therefore, every missile lost on behalf of Russia causes many costs. Moreover, losing these ammunition without being able to use them may lead to an increase in financial problems in the country. On the other hand, according to the breaking news, new developments were reported after Russia's decision on the grain initiative. Ukrainian President Zelensky once again claimed that Russia could bring the world to the brink of an economic crisis. Ukrainian leaders stated that a ship chartered within the scope of the United Nations food program was loaded in the port of Chornomorsk and transported 40,000 tons of wheat to Ethiopia, which is known to be in a difficult situation in the food field. However, according to the statements, these ships are being held by Russia. It is known that the reason for this is the explosions in the Crimea. In addition, Zelensky stated that they will do everything to continue Ukraine's grain export initiative. But this is not the only ship Russia has been holding back. Due to Moscow's decision to withdraw from this grain agreement, it was announced that 218 ships carrying grain products of Black Sea Ukraine were not allowed to proceed. It was stated that 22 of these ships were waiting to leave the ports of Ukraine. It has also been reported that 95 of these block ships have left the Ukrainian ports but are awaiting inspection, while 101 are waiting to be examined in order to enter Ukrainian ports. This grain initiative was supposed to continue until November under normal circumstances, but Russia found a pretext and announced that it was withdrawing from this agreement. Because of this decision, Moscow received a lot of criticism from the West. European Union, one of the signatories of this grain agreement, called for Russia to continue its participation in this grain flow. Russia, on the other hand, made remarkable statements on this issue and stated that the grain initiative could continue on one condition. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rydenko stated that the attacks against the Black Sea Fleet of Russia in Sevastopol should be examined first. He also announced that they would be able to talk about this issue after the details of this attack were revealed. Russia stated that the attack in the region was a violation of the terms of the agreement and was a very wrong move. However, Ukraine is making efforts to advance its ships to ensure the flow of grain. It is also known that this grain initiative affected many countries. For this reason, Russia's efforts to prevent this situation more will anger many countries. In fact, Russia, which already has many problems, may have to face more problems. In the long run, Ukraine's ability to successfully continue its operations on the fronts and to increase its critical moves without interruption will completely turn the course of the war in favor of Kyiv. While there is a Russia that is already dealing with many problems, it will be easier for Ukraine to achieve success. Each move of Russia is now more critical than the previous one. Because if he makes another possible mistake, he will face big defeats and start to have a hard time in the war. This makes it impossible for the soldiers on the front to achieve success. Moreover, as the Russian troops, whose military equipment and ammunition are increasingly scarce, are left with no equipment left to use, their ground and air operational forces may also decrease significantly. Ukraine can immediately turn this situation into an advantage and regain full dominance. In this way, not a single Russian soldier and equipment will be allowed on the territory of the country. Each day of the war becomes more critical than the day before. All moves have to be carried out with strategic plans. From now on, taking every step carefully will determine the fate of the war. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.